First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak in front of this audience. So I would like to present some thoughts on the legal, constitutional and legal protection of state symbols and symbols of the nation in Slovakia from the Slovak point of view. I will try to be brief, so let's hope I will manage to do that. So first of all, a brief overview of the state symbols in the Slovak Republic. Professor Todd already basically did this job for me because I can only repeat that according to the Constitution of the Slovak Republic and the Act number 63 from the year 1993. The Slovak Republic has 4 state symbols. It's the coat of arms, it's the state flag, which can be also used in the form of a banner. Further, it's the state anthem of the Slovak Republic, and it's the state seal. The use of these state symbols is regulated first by the Constitution of the Slovak Republic. It's the Article 8, similar to the Czech Republic. It's a very brief regulation. The provision is very short. Basically, it only states what are the state symbols and that statutory law shall govern the rest, basically. This statutory law is Act number 63 that I already mentioned. Unlike in Czech Republic, we have only one act that governs both the state symbols, so they are design, layout, and also the use of the state symbols. But also other laws govern this topic. I will mention some of them. Of course, these laws may be laws that regulate some prohibited forms of use, like the Criminal Code, or Infringements Act, or for example, the Act on public sports events that regulates use of state symbols in public sports events or sporting events. Okay, I won't speak very long about history. I included some years in this slide. Those are probably some of the milestones of historical development of state symbols in the Slovak Republic. Well, those were not state symbols at the beginnings because there was not an independent Slovak state at that time, but basically, probably this is common for most of the countries from which the speakers met today here. The history of the state symbols is connected with the period of national revival in the 40s of the 19th century. I only mentioned the year 1848 when the coat of arms or the Slovak emblem was created, and also the beginnings of the state flag or Slovak flag can be linked to this year. Actually, the oldest of Slovak state symbols is the Slovak anthem. Of course, it was not a state anthem back then, but it's a folk song. The melody hails from a folk song, and the words are a poem from the early 40s, from the 19th century. So before the emblem or the coat of arms and before the state flag, the anthem came. The state symbols of the Slovak Republic, further milestones were year 1918 when the Czechoslovak Republic was created and Slovakia became a part of it. So this was basically the first time that national symbols of Slovaks were included into state symbols in a layout that is similar to the current one. In the years 1939 to 1945, that was the war period, of course. That was the first time that independent Slovak state existed. It was the wartime Slovak Republic. So at that time, we can really speak about symbols of an independent Slovak state for the first time. And then years 1990 and 1992-93 are important for the current legislation and current form of state symbols of the Slovak Republic, because in 1990, basically the current form of the state symbols was readopted. I don't have pictures, but Professor Frumarova also showed the historic coat of arms of the Czechoslovak Republic from the socialist era, and at that time the classic Slovak double cross on a tri-mount was not included there. It was the mountain Krivaň with a partisan fire. So in 1990 we returned to the original symbolics, the double cross with the tri-mount. And in 1992 and 93 laws governing the current symbols were adopted. The state symbols of the Slovak Republic express some historic and cultural links of Slovak society and state and statehood and nation and culture to some other nations and features. For example, we have a lot of common with the state symbols of the Republic of Hungary, basically. Except for a color difference, a part of the coat of arms of Hungary is very similar to the coat of arms of the Slovak Republic. So the state symbols of Slovakia somehow express also historic relations and common heritage of these nations. I mean the Slovaks, the Czechs, and the Hungarians. Also, the state symbols express links or some affinity, let's put it like that, to other Slavic nations due to the use of the classic Slavic three colors. Also, and I think this is rather unusual because not many coat of arms or state symbols in the world feature in such a predominant or dominant way a symbol that is also a Christian symbol. So in 3 of our 4 state symbols, the double cross has a prominent place, so it also expresses the strong link between the Slovak nation and culture and the Christian faith. Also, the link to the folk culture is obvious, since I have already mentioned that the melody of our state anthem is a folk song, and also the link to geographical features of Slovakia. This slide is probably the most important in my presentation, and it will be also the predominant part of the chapter. It is aimed at the topic of the legal regulation of use of state symbols of the Slovak Republic. It follows the structure. First of all, I pay attention to positive and negative legal protection of state symbols in the Slovak Republic. What does that mean? A positive protection means that the laws, the constitution and the laws govern who and in which manner may use the state symbols, and negative protection states who may not use state symbols or in which ways they cannot be or shall not be used. So basically the aforementioned Act on State Symbols regulates the scope of entities that may use state symbols in relation to 2 groups of entities. First of all, those are entities that are either state authorities of the Slovak Republic or some public entities of the Slovak Republic, like for example, some state educational institutions and so on, and also private persons that officially represent the Slovak Republic. So this is the first group of entities that are governed by this act, and the second group are private persons. So first of all, when it comes to use of state symbols by public entities, by state authorities of the Slovak Republic, what needs to be mentioned, and this goes when it comes to the state authorities, they are not only entitled to use the state symbols, but it is also their duty to use the state symbols in the manner laid down in the Act on state symbols when they perform their authority. When it comes to private persons, the regulation in the Act on state symbols is rather brief, there are no many provisions that govern this, but we shall remember that according to our constitution, everyone is entitled to do everything what is not prohibited by the law. So in some cases, for example, when it comes to playing or singing the national anthem, the only requirement that the Act on State Symbols posts is that it should be done so in a dignified manner. So this is the basic and most important duty of private persons when they use state symbols, that they should do so in a dignified manner. In my chapter, I also pay attention to some specific levels or situations where when the state symbols are used, like, for example, their use in business, including the opportunity to include state symbols into designs of products, or I also discuss the possibility to, for example, to register a state symbol as a trademark. Of course, it's not possible because the Act on Trademarks does not expressly rule this out, but there is a provision that symbols of high symbolic value cannot be registered as trademarks. So it's not expressly in this Act that state symbols cannot be trademarks, but they cannot be registered as trademarks because they are symbols of high symbolic value. When it comes to the possibility to include state symbols into designs of products, it's not expressly ruled out in the Act on State Symbols. So in this case, my conclusion is that it can be done, but with the requirement that it must be a dignified use that respects the status of this symbol as a state symbol. So basically it is possible, since the law does not prohibit it, to include state symbols in designs of products, but in a dignified and appropriate way. There is also an issue of copyright protection and state symbols. According to our Copyright Act, state symbols are not copyright protected, so they are not copyright protected works, but the works on which the state symbols are based are copyright protected. So basically, for example, when the current design of the Slovak coat of arms was created in the 90s, the author of the current design of the coat of arms was Dr. Ladislav Vrtel. His work as such is copyright protected, but as the basis for creation of the current layout of the coat of arms, but the coat of arms itself is not copyright protected. It's not ruled out to include state symbols into works of arts. Again, they should be used in works of art in a dignified manner and in a manner that respects their status as state symbols. I have already mentioned the specific regulation of use of state symbols in public sports events. There are two types of sports events when it comes to the use of state symbols, or the regulation is divided in regulation of use of state symbols in, let's say, normal sports events and in high-risk sports events. When it comes to these high-risk sports events, it's, for example, prohibited to for natural persons, for the fans, to bring state symbols of foreign states to such sports events, including their predecessors. So, for example, it's not legal when there is a high-risk football match in Slovakia. It's illegal to bring there, for example, the flag of Kingdom of Hungary. When it comes to protection of state symbols by some forms of public liability, we have criminal offense called disorderly conduct. So basically, one of the forms how a person could commit this criminal offense is if this person inadvertently or physically, publicly or in a place accessible to the public, commits gross indecency or disorder by defamation of a state symbol. What's important, this is aimed not only at Slovak state symbols, but it also includes state symbols of other countries. So also by defamation of state symbols of other countries, one can commit this criminal offense. We also have a minor offense, infringement, in section 41, paragraph 1, point A of the Infringements Act. In this case, this minor offense is committed when someone intentionally damages, abuses, or derogates a state symbol or another symbol protected by a generally binding act. Only a natural person can commit this infringement. I have not mentioned it in this slide, but there is also a third type of offense that can be committed. It's the offense that is regulated in the State Symbols Act, but in this case, only legal persons and natural persons that are entrepreneurs can commit this administrative offense under the State Symbols Act. The difference between the criminal offense of disorderly conduct and this infringement, as you can see, there is not a very obvious difference. In some cases, you could argue whether a person by his or her act committed. I'm very glad. Okay, so it could be a problem whether it's a criminal offense or infringement. If someone, for example, derogates a state symbol, that's probably there is space for interpretation. What is defamation? What is derogation? Of course, the main difference is the severity of the action. So in cases when the action is more severe, more socially unacceptable, more dangerous, it will be probably a criminal offense. Also, another difference is the fact that the criminal offense must be conducted publicly or in a place that is accessible to public, whereas the infringement must not be committed publicly. I will also briefly mention national symbols in Slovakia. So far I spoke about the state symbols of the Slovak Republic. Actually, we have some national symbols that are regulated as such by laws. We have some national symbols that are regulated by statutory acts, but So they are formal, but they are not explicitly regulated as national symbols. And then there is a third group of national symbols, informal national symbols that have some symbolic value for Slovakia and for the Slovaks, but they are not regulated as symbols by law. We have three formally acknowledged national symbols. The first of them, emblem of the coat of arms and national symbol, are regulated by the State Symbol Act. And the third, the city of Martin, that is maybe something that is unusual in the context of this conference, because I haven't, so far no one mentioned that a specific city, except for the capital, should have a status of a formal, legally regulated national symbol. But when it comes to the city of Martin, that's a city in northern Slovakia. It's a center of national culture of the Slovaks since the 19th century, and it's also explicitly regulated as a national symbol. So that's a specific law on the city of Martin, but these first two, emblem of coat of arms and national symbol, are regulated by the State Symbol Act, and basically both of them are some more simple representations of the coat of arms. So the emblem of the coat of arms is a simplified version, graphical version of the coat of arms, and the so-called national symbol, I know it's a bit confusing, but that's a term that is used by the law itself. The so-called national symbol is something that you can draw in like 1 or 2 seconds. It's only a double cross on a trimount. So that's the most simple graphic representation of the Slovak national symbol. Why do we have these two symbols? It's quite new, this regulation. I think it was adopted in the year 2019, I think, or 2018, I'm not sure now. It was a reaction to scandal, let's put it like that, when the National Federation of Ice Hockey, Slovak National Federation of Ice Hockey, wanted to replace the coat of arms on the jerseys of our national team in ice hockey by its own trademark, its own logo. And this logo, it was basically a stylized coat of arms where the double cross, not the double cross, the trimount was replaced by 3 ice hockey sticks. And this sparked a lot of controversies in the Slovak Republic. And a lot of politicians were quite angry because of that. They even considered to withdraw financial support for the Slovak national ice hockey team. And ice hockey is very serious business in Slovakia. So this was really an issue at that time. But I think it's good that we have these two national symbols now regulated by the Act, because that's an interesting and characteristic feature of the Slovak coat of arms. It's very simple itself. It's basically very easy to draw the Slovak coat of arms. I think we would struggle to draw the Czech coat of arms, for example, but I can draw the Slovak coat of arms or its representation now in a couple of seconds. And this brings some problems, some issues. For example, if someone draws such a simple representation of the coat of arms and, for example, strikes through it or defames it in some manner, that person could argue that this has not all the legal features of the state symbol. So it's not, for example, a criminal offense or a minor offense, because this is only a more simple drawing. But now also these two national symbols are protected by law. But a defamation, for example, of the national symbol is not a criminal offense, but it could be a minor offense. So I will only briefly mention other regulated entities of high symbolical values. For example, the flag of the president. We do have a specific act on the flag or standard of the president of the Slovak Republic, but it's not a state symbol. It's only the symbol of the president and his office. But also, for example, national holidays and state orders are regulated by law, and we can say that they are national symbols of the Slovak Republic. So I would like to thank you for your attention. Sorry for covering the symbol. And I look forward for the discussion. Thank you.